Hey everyone, welcome to the Tech Editor Hub. Today is another guest interview with Cherie Mellick. Cherie is a certified crochet technical editor. She works to empower designers by educating them. She also mentors designers and does all the things that a tech editor does. And you can find her at sweetbirdcrochet.com. Welcome, Cherie. I'm glad to have you here.
Hi, thanks for having me.
So, Sweet Bird Crochet, let's just get it out of the way. Tell us about your business name.
So my entire business is branded from my parrot. So her name is Kalani. She is a violet Indian ringneck. And I call her Sweet Bird, but she's more of like a Sour Patch bird. She can be sweet, but then during mating season, she is very mean. We're currently spring and fall is mating season. And so she knows no other mate except me. She's like, hey, I really love you. I'm in love with you, please, and I just pet her head and she will bite me because I'm not letting her have babies. So she
she is not here in this interview because she's been a screaming Mimi, correct?
She has been, yes. So it is that season. And so she has just been real screaming, very loud. And I've had several meetings this week and she has screamed through all of them. So I thought that, and her screams are not just like little screams. They are very high pitched, it's deafening. And yeah, so I was like, okay, we're going to have to let her stay in her room with the door closed and she can chill out in there while I'm in here. So
Sassy Bird Crochet.
Yes.
So Tell me, what are you making with yarn right now? I always love to start with this just because as tech editors, we're first makers.
Yes. Yeah. So I actually I reorganized all of my yarn and all that kind of stuff. And I found a design that I had started several years ago. And so I'm going to be approaching that again. But I've also been like taking some of my clients' patterns that I really, really love, and I've been making them. So one of the patterns that it's like a work in progress constantly, is the biased granny square scarf. And I'm going to tell you, I've never worked with alpaca yarn before, and I absolutely love it. So it's a yarn dyer, and she had a festival in August. And she was like, hey, I really need this tech edited. And so we did a rush on it. And it was just, it's such a great, simple pattern, but it was so fun. And so, it really works up easy. And I'm going to be honest, I did not work a gauge swatch. And I just got my hook. I ordered yarn from her. And the yarn is so cute.
Hold on, let me see if I can solo you. Hold on. I always lose track of where I'm supposed to do it.
Sure.
There we go. Solo. Hold it up. Look at that.
The colors. I just really love the color. And alpaca is like, it's just so fluffy. So this is her floof yarn, the alpaca, but it's called Unicorn Farts. I was like, okay. And she has a whole collection of, her name is the Sheepy Shire. Mm-hmm. And she has a whole collection of flatulence yarn. It is hilarious. And yeah, and then I did a pattern. I've been doing pattern tests because I sometimes think that that's a really great way to kind of connect with designers and educate them on having their patterns tech edited. So I'm currently doing one pattern test that it's 87 pages long. It has not been tech edited. Yes. And her requirements for her testers, I was like, ooh, that's not good, but it's a very good pattern. It does need to be tech edited. But then I got another one that was not tech edited as well. But I'll say this pattern, I finished it, but this pattern is way too beautiful not to have it tech edited.
Yeah.
It's for it's East End hooker, and she does doilies and stuff. But this was her design.
Whoa, look at that. Let me
Yeah.
hold on. Wow.
Yes.
That looks like it was fun to make.
It was so much fun. And she actually called for thread, but my arthritis does not allow me to work with thread and small needles. So I worked it up in a DK weight, and I kind of modified it because it was rippling a lot because of the bigger hook and yarn. So where she said to put like chain 3, I just did a chain 1. So anyway, I actually bought it's supposed to only be 19 inches. Mine is 32 inches. And so
that's the difference between gauge, right?
Yeah,
changing the stitches.
Exactly. So I wanted, when I first started, I was like, I know that I would like to use this as an art piece on my wall. So I went to Hobby Lobby because they have sales all the time. And I found this big, huge canvas that was 36 by 40. And I'm painted it black. And I'm going to put this.
Oh, you're going to mount it.
I'm going to mount it on the canvas. And then she has several other doily patterns that are just gorgeous. And so I'm going to try to make it a little bit smaller and just kind of add to the canvas all the different doilies and stuff. So
That's
I'm
awesome.
excited. I'm excited, but those are the things I'm working on. So
I love it. We are all about yarn. It's funny, like we may have our head in patterns part of the time, but really we're just makers. We're just makers.
Yes.
So tell us, what were you doing before you became a crochet technical editor?
So I was actually working with special needs kids in the school system. I was an educator for 14 years. That's why I love the educating aspect of my business, because truly at heart, that's who I am. I'm a teacher. And so I was working in the school system for 14 years. And then after, not because of the kids, but because of the administration. And if anyone knows what I'm talking about, they will be nodding their heads. The administration was very difficult to deal with. And so I really wanted to just stay home. I wanted to resign. I wanted to stay home, take care of the house. But then I also was like, I really do want to bring in some kind of income, to support my yarn habit, or to just, do some extra things, pay a bill, whatever. And so my husband said, okay, once all the debt is paid off, you can quit your job and you can stay home. You can do whatever. And I said, okay, don't tell me I could do something. And so in 18 months, I paid off $35,000 in debt.
Wow.
And I put in my resignation, and I was like, deuces, I'm out of here. So I wanted to find something that I could do from home. So I started designing and selling patterns. Well, I had been designing for a long time. I just had never, sold my patterns. And so I started selling, but as we all know, you can't make a sustainable income off of just designing and selling patterns if you went viral or something like that. But for the rest of us, we have to work at it. Right. And so I knew that I needed to add in that extra stream of income. So I don't know, I think I had seen a post or something from Melissa talking about crochet tech editors. And I'm like, okay, I'm a total pattern nerd. I love this kind of stuff. Why not? And so I took the course and I have not looked back. I absolutely love tech editing.
That's wonderful. So, but dive a little deep for me. What made you decide to become a technical editor? Like, there's other ways to work in the yarn industry besides design. Like, you could create pieces to sell, or you could teach crochet. Why technical editing?
I think because it gave me so when I was learning how to crochet, it kind of all plays like a part in my story. So when I was, it's been almost 25, 30 years now, my friend tried to teach me to crochet and I had no idea what she was talking about. And so I had put, the yarn and hook away for like a year. And then as I was cleaning out my closet, I had found it, the hook and the yarn. And I was like, okay, let me just print out a pattern and see, if I could do this thing. And I did. And I don't know what it was, but something in my brain clicked and I knew how to crochet. Like it was, I don't know if it was maybe some of the muscle memory from when she was teaching me, but I mean, I did not successfully do the granny square that she was trying to show me, but I knew, like, looking at the pattern, it was like I was just so familiar with the terms and the abbreviations and all that, and I had never learned them. And so anyway, I just kind of had become this pattern nerd, and I was always finding errors and different things, in a pattern. And so that's kind of, and then when I had seen that, oh, this is a thing, like I could get paid for this.
To find the errors.
Yeah, like I already love doing that kind of stuff, I would find in different, books or magazines or whatever, finding those different errors. I'm like, hey, why not? So
exactly. So what's your workspace like? I see that pretty cool shelf behind you that you,
yes.
that's pretty neat.
I turn this way. Yes. So we actually just got done building that. So that space right there was just plain. It was the same color as the walls. And I was like, I really want a place where I can just put stuff to decorate. I love collecting little things. Like my husband, I have this Bats Maru squishy, and he's my favorite Sanrio character and has been since I was a little girl. And I love collecting like little stuff like that. I have toys all on my desk.
I love it.
Like anytime I'm on the phone or in a meeting, you may not see my hands, but I'm down here fiddling with my favorite toys. But yeah, so I wanted a space that I could just put stuff, and then I could put my hand-dyed yarn because it's so pretty, and then some of my books and stuff like that. So yeah, we finally got that done, and I bought a carpet. I mean, this has been like a dream in the making because we just bought our house a year ago. And so for the last year, I'm just like, I was very thoughtful. I've got a small space, and I'm like, I need to be very thoughtful in how I decorate it. So I'm really excited. I actually love coming in here during the evening times, and I have my little yellow light that's kind of like the evening sunshine, and I just have it dark and peaceful. And my husband's like, are you going to stop working? I'm like, I'm not working. I'm just sitting in here. So he's like, okay. I'm like, don't you want me to come sit in here with me? He was like, no.
It's really, I think it's important to have a space, even if it's just a nook or a corner that can be like dedicated to our work.
Yes.
It really helps.
Yeah. And what has made a huge difference, because when we were living in our other place, it was just it's just me and my husband. We're empty nesters. We have our dogger and our feathered toddler. And, we were living in a 1-bedroom apartment. And so my office was in my bedroom. It was just in a corner because our home was 1,600 square feet. So the bedroom was humongous. And so in one corner of my room was my office, and it was like always on my mind because I was always seeing my computer.
Yeah.
But now on Friday, I do all my end of the week wrap up, and I turn everything off. I close that door, and I don't come in here usually during the weekends. And I'm like, nope, we're not even going to look in there. So it's been nice to shut things off.
That's excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. What has been the hardest part of tech editing for you?
Honestly, when designers don't take my suggestions when I know my suggestions are right.
Yeah.
That's because I know, like, I know that I'm really just kind of a control freak and a perfectionist. So it's like, I want it to all, it's like, okay, you took all these suggestions, but this one really goes really good with that one. And, so I think that is like, that just is my mental frustration. I'm like, I know it looks better like this. But that's just me, my own self, may not be their style, but I think just, the networking and finding clients, the most frustrating part is, especially in the crochet industry, I don't know how it is with knitting, but in the crochet industry, a lot of designers don't know that technical editing is even a thing.
Right.
Is it like that with knitting too?
It was 10 years ago, but
Mm,
it's less so now. I think
yeah.
crochet is a little bit behind that
Yes.
way.
Yeah.
But crochet designers, I think, are learning.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think also sometimes crochet designers rely a lot more on testers
Yes.
than technical editors.
Yes. Yes. That is very true. That has been probably my most frustrating thing about technical editing is because, it's like it's such an important part of the editing or the, publishing process.
Mhm.
And that's, I think, part of why I chose to put that educational aspect into my work, because there's not a lot of those resources out there for crochet designers like there is in the knitting
Yeah,
community.
right.
It almost seems like, oh, I want to design a knitting pattern. Okay, this is the process. I'm going to send it to my tech editor and then have it tested. Whereas in crochet, they're like, tech editor? What's a tech editor?
Right.
I'm
Right.
like, you're writing technical copy. Don't you understand that? So, and then patterns that are just so beautiful. I'm like, you're really doing a disservice to your design because it's just so beautiful. And you don't want to have an ugly pattern. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, yeah,
Or a pattern that's got a lot of mistakes, and then your maker's going to be frustrated. Yeah.
which to me equals an ugly pattern.
Agreed.
Yeah.
What references and tools do you find yourself always reaching for in your work?
Well, I know for one is the hub. Like that has
Mhm.
been such a game changer for me, because if I am ever stuck anywhere or I can't figure something out, or maybe I just need to like vent or connect with someone, it's all right there. And I have
Mhm.
people that will validate my frustration,
'Cause we're
or
in it
share.
with you. We're
Yes.
doing the same thing every day.
Yes, yes. And so that has been probably my biggest resource, and that I go to. And the other thing is, I'm an older generation. Like, I'm an old soul, even though I'm almost 50, which I guess to some people would be an old soul. But I'm a paper and pencil
Mhm.
kind of girl.
Same.
Like, I have notebooks upon notebooks of stitch diagrams, because in my head, like, I can't visualize it when, a designer might send me a shawl or something. I'm like, I see your picture, and sometimes the picture isn't spread out. So I have to visually try to decipher what shape or whatever. And then so I have to draw it out. And I'm like, oh, okay, now I understand, because I just mentally cannot visualize things in my head.
What kind of drawing do you do? Do you do it on graph paper or just plain paper?
Just computer paper.
Nice.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I just do all my stitches, and yeah,
I love it.
yeah.
There's something to be said for that connection between the written technical copy and the visual. Many of us have to make that leap. It's can be difficult to edit sometimes without doing that.
Yes. Yeah. Yep. Different, even if they have the visuals in the pattern, like
A diagram.
a diagram or whatever, I still at some points will have to draw it out myself.
Love it. So, what's the best piece of wisdom you've heard or read lately? It doesn't have to
Hmm.
be related to crochet or yarn.
Okay. I think what for technical editing related, it would be that a tech editor should not edit their own grading. Like, if you're
Mhm.
going to grade a pattern, you should have
Mhm.
someone else edit it,
Mhm.
because you can't check your own mistakes. Like, your brain is just so used to it. And I
Same way
know
a
that,
designer can't, right?
yeah. And I know that that's an unpopular opinion, because a lot of editors do grade and edit their own work. But I don't grade a lot. And so and because I love the editing part over the grading part, I can grade small accessories and stuff. But when it comes to grading sweaters, it's like, okay, we're going to collaborate with someone else. So I actually collaborate with Carol, and she, she does the grading and then I'll do the editing. So it's been kind of nice. We've worked on several projects together. So that, I think that's kind of been my, biggest, like, oh, I didn't know that. That's really good advice, so.
Collaboration for the win.
Yes.
It's excellent. Do you have any advice for editors who are just starting out? Like, if you could travel back in time to old Cherie and whisper some wisdom to yourself, what would you say?
I would think I'd probably say to not give away your services for free all the time. Like when you're first starting out, like I know that a lot of new people will do that. Like, hey, for a review, and I never did that because I was like, I want to get paid for my services and I want people to take me very, very seriously right from the start, but setting up systems, don't give away your work for free and set up systems. That was, if I would have set up systems back then, I think that I would not have encountered so many frustrations in the whole process, so.
What kind of systems do you think have helped you the most?
Well, for one, like the process of from the time I receive a inquiry to the closing of the, of the edit. And so setting up, like now I have, what are those called? Like pre-written templates. I have templates, email templates all written out. I have different things all written out. So that way I'm not writing emails constantly because there's some stuff that I'll have to delete or add in the template. But for the most part, it's what I say every single time, So those types of processes. And then also like the sales emails to my, newsletter people, having those systems in place where I'm sending out, hey, don't forget to get on my calendar this month and, all that stuff. And then the actual workflow, like these are the things that I do, so now I already know this is how I approach a pattern when I start an edit. I go, and I do these things and I do those things. So having that checklist so I can go through and like, okay, yes, I did all of that. And yeah, so those types of processes.
Excellent. What is something in your business that you're happy worked out differently than you expected?
I think starting VA work. So, yeah.
So tell us, so define first, what's a VA?
So a VA is a virtual assistant. They basically will do work with independently, like a editor is an independent contractor. And so I'm independently hired by XYZ people and I just do kind of back end stuff for them. So I have 3 right now that I work with, and I've worked with them for like 3 years now. And so I edit their patterns. I post on their blog. I will create Pinterest pins. I do a lot of the stuff that they don't want to do that I don't even like doing for my own business, So I'm like, would that be weird if I hired a VA? I'll do VA work for them, and then I need someone to do VA work for me. So, but yeah, and I was pleasantly surprised that, that has been really the source of my constant income, because I've been that I can rely on that income, and then as editing jobs come in or whatever, I take those and stuff like that. But that's kind of like, okay, I know I need to work this many hours. I get paid this much money, and that's just an ongoing thing. And surprisingly, there is not a lot of dependable VAs in this community. Yeah.
So it's kind of like an untapped resource if you wanted to
really
add that
is.
service.
Yeah, it really is.
Excellent. And if you're interested in finding more about becoming a VA, you created a workshop for us in the Tech Editor Hub
Yes.
private community, which I will link to below. If you want to watch Cherie talk about becoming a VA, in addition to being a technical editor and what that takes, you can take her workshop in the Tech Editor Hub community. So thanks again for doing that.
Yeah, no problem.
So what is your favorite way to take a break from editing?
I love to go for long walks on the beach. No, I mean,
Me
albeit
too,
that
but
is
don't-
true, but we have no beaches
Mm.
nearby. I love to sit outside. Like, I love to do other projects. Oh, I wish I would have brought it in here. So I'm teaching myself how to knit. And yes, I have been wanting to learn how to make socks, and I have tried numerous times to make crochet socks. And this is going to be an unpopular opinion, but I think knitting socks are better than crochet socks. I'm just saying. I know that there's some technical editors out there that are sock designers. Don't shoot me, please. But
We're all entitled to our own opinion.
exactly. But yeah, so learning new things, that's, it kind of helps me just be a maker and not have to worry about designing or figuring out numbers or whatever. Like, I didn't even make my gauge swatch when I was starting, and I know how to knit and I know how to purl. I know that. I've got these little tiny 9-inch circulars, and I'm like, what am I doing? So I've been like texting or messaging some of, the editor friends, Ruth, and I'm like, hey, what's the deal with this? And they're like, your attention's really tight. I'm like, I know. So yeah, but just learning new things, painting. I love to paint. I did not know that I was actually creative. Growing up in the home that I did, I had an alcoholic mother. And so it was like that, if you're a child of an alcoholic, you just kind of, it's not that wonderful of an experience. And so I didn't know that I was creative until I had my son, and I started writing, and then I started painting and drawing and all that. And I'm like, oh, I think I'm kind of creative, and then I learned how to crochet, and and I'm like, wow, that's really cool. I'm kind of creative.
Wonderful. So along the same lines then, what are your hopes for yourself?
Gosh, so like hopes in my business or just in
anything?
Okay, well, my hope is that my husband would let me buy another bird so Kalani can have a companion and she won't be so obsessed with me, but he keeps telling me no. But no, I think my biggest hope is that I could get to a point where I'm not having to work so much and I'm making more income. People think, oh, how are you going to do that? I'm figuring that out. I'm figuring that out. And I'm hoping that I will be able to get some things out there that can be a constant, form of revenue. I would love for my husband to retire early and for my income to be able to sustain the household. So yeah, that's kind of, and I also hope that my daughter would move to Georgia so I can see my Arizona grandbabies more.
We'll just put that out there.
Yes. Yeah. I'm always telling her. It was funny. I was talking to my granddaughter the other day and I was telling her, I said, hey, I was talking to my daughter. We FaceTime like 3 or 4 times a day. And my granddaughter is 6. And so I was telling my daughter about this new coffee shop that is going to be opening up in our county. And it's basically like a farm coffee shop. So there's a coffee shop on a farm and the farm has all these, activities for children and all this stuff. And my granddaughter gets on the camera. She says, Nini, is there really going to be a coffee shop opening like that that has all that kid stuff? And I said, yes. She said, are you just trying to get us to move there? Yes. Yes, I am, as a matter of fact.
Love it. Going to be close to the babies.
Yes.
So where can people find you online?
I am everywhere, Sweetbird Crochet. So my website is sweetbirdcrochet.com. My YouTube, Sweetbird Crochet. Instagram, Sweetbird Crochet. So, yep. And I'm actually starting to rank on Google, which I'm so excited about. I've actually had the last two I asked them, in my intake form, I asked them, how did you hear about me? And they both said, Mr. Google. I was like, yay. So, yeah.
I think it's an untapped resource for us in the tech editing world is SEO and ranking in Google. That's excellent. Congratulations on that.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for being here today and for answering questions and sharing your experience of being a crochet technical editor with us. I really appreciate you, Cherie.
Yes, thank you so much.
And if any of you are interested in becoming a technical editor, you too can become one. Just click on the links below and find out if technical editing is for you. You don't have to just be a great crocheter or a crochet designer or a knitwear designer or knitter. You can also become a pattern guru like Cherie.
Yes. A pattern nerd.
A pattern nerd. Can be a pattern nerd with us. Yes. Thanks for being here, and I'll see you all around. Happy editing. Bye.